What's up? All right, I think we're going. We're live. Welcome. Friday night, Saturday morning. Who we got? Ron? What's up, Ron? Harry? All right. Good to see you guys again. Jersey Red, aka Rusty from Jersey. Love it. What's up, man? Craig from Melbourne. Good day. Excellent. Morning. It's a morning lesson there. Elias, what's up? How's it going, Elias? Good to see you. Glenn B from Pennsylvania, right? All right. Danny Ryan from Arkansas. Excellent. Jody 1, of course. Jim Gregory, of course. And Duke 49 from Missouri. All right. Welcome, everybody. Great to see y'all again. Tushar, what's up? Zane, what's going on? Mario from Oslo, Norway. Well, excellent. That is awesome. Welcome. We're going to do a guitar workout tonight. Nikki, what's up? Nikki the dog. All right. Cool. Nikki, now I know all about you now that you told me the story of Nikki the dog. So I love it. Andre, what's up? Good to see you. Steve Langford, of course. Happy Friday back at you. The Oz band's here. We got all the veterans here tonight. Loving it. For those of you just joining in for the first time or just tuning in for the first time, expand to the description below the video. We've got a link to the tabs for tonight's guitar workout that we're going to go through. What's up, Steve on H. I don't know what I've been calling you previously. New Hampshire, maybe. Steve-O in New Hampshire, maybe? Steve, what's up? Good to see you again. And Mike from Brisbane, again, good day. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Yes, sire. Okay. Yes, sir. Guitar workout this week, beginner to intermediate type exercises, hopefully just highlighting some techniques, a little light on the theory a little bit. What's up, Rich and Ray? All right. Doing well. Hope back at you, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. We always start these guitar workouts. Let me just turn this off down right here. Start the guitar workouts with a chromatic warm-up of some sort. Some variation of the old getting all the fingers involved on all the frets and just warming up, get your picking going, all that kind of good stuff. So as always, alternate picking, down ups, okay? We're going to keep it going. All right. King 50, all right, from Northern Nevada. Good to see you, sir. Kyle, what's up? Fringled 6 fingers. Excellent. All right, we'll talk about the BB box a little bit, Kyle, if we get to it. We'll get through this stuff first. Andrew Jorison, also in Melbourne. All right, good day. Everybody from Australia, New Zealand, and Norway and beyond. All right, everybody. So I usually start these chromatic warm-ups around the 4th fret, just to avoid, if you're new to this sort of thing and you're down on the 1st fret, maybe on an acoustic guitar, it can be a little bit of a stretch getting your fingers going if you're kind of new to these exercises. So I just move it up a little bit to the 4th fret. The fingers are a little bit closer together. And I'm just changing up the order of the fingers. I mean, the most basic warm-up could just be each finger at a time, down, up, right? Well, I'll throw a monkey wrench in there and go index finger on the 4th fret to the pinky on the 7th fret, and then back to the middle finger on the 5th, and the ring finger on the 6th. And that'll be our sequence for going up the strings, right? So we can go. Kind of get that, right? Okay, keep you on your toes. And once you get up to the top string, move up 1 fret and do the exact same thing in reverse. So I'm going index, pinky, middle, ring, and then coming down the strings this time, but this time starting on the 5th fret, right? So down, up, picking, down, up, and we just move up a fret at a time and just keep going. Give that 2 or 3 minutes just when you're starting to warm up. Shake it out a little bit, right? So let's add a little bit of speed to that, and we'll go through it a couple times. I'm going to start again on the 4th fret. Count us in. All right. 1. What are we going to do is the question. It's transcribed as 16th notes on the tabs. So you're going to be thinking 1E and 2E and 3 up, down, up, 4 up, down, up, that kind of thing. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and move it up. Again. So that's the idea with that one, right? And you go slow as you need to in order to keep a nice, steady, smooth time crossing all those strings. So if you're new to these exercises, you're going to want to go a lot slower than that, right? And particularly with that little monkey wrench of just mixing up the fingers, right? Index finger, pinky, middle finger, ring, and just doing it that way. And so these kind of little variations go a long way to kind of just if you think about working out at the gym or whatever, what have you. A lot of times you got to change up, the muscles that you're working on or the exercises that you do to switch it up to be more effective, right? So it's the same thing with your fingers. You don't always want to do the same exercises over and over. So try and find some variations of this kind of warm up. Kyle's so slow though. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all about going slow at first and getting the hang of getting this under the fingers. Okay. And you go slow as you need to get it under your fingers, first of all. And then once you sort of have it a little bit, stay slow, but focus on keeping it consistent. Try to keep your timing as consistent as possible. Keep your foot tapping or your leg moving in pulse of it, right? And that'll be easier to sync it up with your fingers a little bit. Okay. And that's where all the speed comes from, is working on this stuff and getting it sounding perfect, executing it perfectly, but really slow. And once you do that with lots of repetition, speed it up. You just inch your speed up a little bit at a time, right? And just keep working it. It's the repetition, muscle memory, all that stuff. Jody 1, is your thumb staying in the middle of the neck there all the time? Yeah, pretty much for this. It's sort of like about right there. So yeah, I would say so. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty much staying in, it's a little bit fluid, maybe moves a little bit here and there. Okay. But mostly in that area. You're just sort of moving your hand a little bit, depending if you're up high or down low, but yeah, mostly anchored right in the same spot. Okay. Now for, that's just me. Other people, it might be a little bit different, right? It's a great starting point. I always say a great starting point for anything is always thumb in the middle of the neck, roughly. Okay. But everybody's hands are different and everybody's comfort feels a little bit different around the neck. And also guitars are totally different. Guitar necks are totally different, depending, playing on acoustic, you're playing electric, you're playing a thin neck electric, a thick neck electric. Lots of variables, right? So you need to be flexible and just sort of find that sweet spot for where it feels the most natural and sort of the easiest for you. And that's totally okay. All right. Because everybody's hands are a little bit different. Make sense? Sounds like some of my playing today. Good evening, everyone. Douglas, what's up? Excellent. Felicia, hello. Yes. Jody 1, that's how you use your fingertips. Yeah, curl it up. Okay. But all this stuff changes. It always just depends on what you're doing on the fretboard. And your hand is going to move in all sorts of different directions and angles and all that kind of stuff, right? But just generally speaking, something like this, you want to curl those fingers, get the fingertips on there, thumb, middle of the neck. That's always a great place to start. Satin necks. Yes, absolutely. I, in fact, have one. This is a roasted maple neck, so it just feels nice just on the straight wood back here. All right. Switch it to the 3/4 size Ibanez. Good plan. All right. Excellent, Kyle. Okay. So, yeah, warm up. Important, right? Easier to play the fiddle. There you go. All right, exercise 2. I usually do some sort of strumming exercise, and I've kind of come back to this strumming pattern that is sort of an essential strumming pattern if you if you don't have this one down, this is the one to work on, because this works in so many different situations. So many different songs use this type of strum pattern, and this gets you away from just doing a straight downstroke or a straight down, up, down, up, down, up all the way through. This sort of breaks it up into a little more of a syncopated strum, which what we mean by that is just some of the accents are on the offbeats, right? So what we've got here, I'm just going to have a look at the first chord. We've got a full F bar chord. So that's barring down at the first fret, grabbing the third fret of the A and D, first fret of the G, right? Now, if you're new to the guitar and bar chords are not going well for you, take heart that they are very difficult to get. Okay, you're going to take a lot of work to get, but they are well worth it. They're almost essential for you to be able to progress on the instrument, is to do it. So if you're not quite there yet, a few tips, you know, kind of move it up the neck, find a spot where you can practice on and off and trying to get those fingers in the right spot so that all the notes ring out, right? But if you, for the purpose of this exercise, anytime you see an F chord and you can't do the full F bar chord, you can always do the upper parts, or at least try to. So there's an F note right here, third fret of the fourth string or the D string, second fret of the G string, and then you sort of put the pad of the index finger down on the top two strings, okay? First fret. And just focus on those four strings, okay? You might have to look at your strumming just to make sure you're strumming those four strings, but do that, okay? If you can't get this full thing. Let's see. Today you're playing keyboard, Douglas. Back to guitar tomorrow. All right. Well, you're going to have good days and bad days no matter what you play, right? So best you can do is just try to have fun and just keep going forward, right? If today wasn't your day, there's going to be another day where it all comes together, and you just keep doing that, right? Kind of just always up and down, but hopefully on that general upper trajectory, right? Just started F sharp today. Kyle, excellent. Same thing, right? Same shape, just up one fret. Okay, so let's go to this F chord now. And this strum is going to be some downstrokes and upstrokes. This is an eighth note based strum. So you can see I've got two downstrokes, 1, 2, and. Okay, on the and of 2, I'm going to hit the upstroke on that and let it ring out to the and of 3, where I hit it again, and 4. So I think you're going to recognize this strum pattern as I start to put it together a little bit. I'm just going to stay on the F chord, but it sounds like this. Okay, that's what we're going for. Now, you would be, I mean, this is well worth trying to get under your strumming, okay? Because it is used so often. It is such a useful strum pattern that just takes you outside of just the straight down, ups, okay? So, all right, James Douglas. Excellent, great news. Well, thanks for checking it out. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Ron's got a good one. Yes, that's why it's called the F chord. Good one. All right, so our strum pattern, once again, just down, down, up, down. And remember, as I always say, like, you want to keep this motion going. This is what gives you time. This is what keeps you going in time, right? So maybe not, but you know, you have to decide when you're striking the strings with it and when you're not, when you're just doing the motion of it. But it's really good to try and build that in nice and relaxed, but just keeping it on a swivel, back and forth in time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay. Right. So this is a circle of fifths exercise. And I believe the last time we were together, we did a circle of fifths bar chord exercise where I showed you the relationship on the neck as we went up 2 frets at a time and played fifth string and low string root bar chords. But this time I'm just picking some open chords, basically, with the exception of the F chord, and checking out the relationship in open position, basically. So this is just Another great chord changing, strum learning, timing, all of that stuff kind of exercise that's really worthwhile. But we just happen to be cycling through a circle of fifths chord progression. So if I start on F, my root is that F note. So if we want to get to the fifth, if you remember the magic L, where you just go up to the next string and go up 2 frets, that's your shortcut, and that's a C note. So if I want to go a fifth away from F, the next chord is C, which you'll see in the next measure, right? And from there, remember my shortcut. If you're on anything but the low string and you've got a root note, the fifth to that root note is the same fret but down 1 string. So that gives you a G. So there's your G, right? So that's G is the fifth of C. So boom, we go to G in the third measure, right? Magic L. Oh, Terrence, what's up? Thanks for joining again. Good day from Australia. I love it. All you Aussies. Love it. Okay. From G, right? Magic L. Up to the next string, up 2 frets. That's a D note. But if we're dealing with open chords, there's an open D string. So there we go. Now we're on the D. Guys, the fifth of G is D. Now, I've got the D string, same fret, but the lower string will give me the fifth of D. That gives me A. A major, right? Lots of ways to do this one. I always do it with 1 finger. You can do it with 3 fingers. And then from A, the fifth of A is down 1 string, same fret. If you're an open string, then it's just simply the open string, open, low E. And you got the E chord. So we got a nice little exercise here. Let's go through it. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Then, of course, from there, you can loop it around. Let's do it a little bit faster. Cool? We got it. Straight ahead exercise. Once again, go as slow as you need to go to just try and make your timing nice and even. And of course, get those chord changes nice and clean, right? All the hard work happens slow, down slow, okay? If you're trying to figure out a song and trying to play along with it, a lot of times you can't, you're going to miss stuff or stuff is clunky, and that's not really helping you as much as figuring out everything and then just going through it at the slowest you can where you're actually executing everything properly. And then it's repetition down there. That way you're repeating it correctly, right? And you're burning it in with the muscle memory. You're programming your muscles and your fingers correctly, okay? But it's the repetition that allows you to make it more and more effortless so that you can start to increase the speed, right? Those of you that have been with me every Friday for the last several weeks, you hear it over and over and over again. But really, that's the secret to everything. Everything you encounter, I still use it to this day. And I use it because I know it works. So strongly suggested, right? I kind of just added, by the way, Rusty, you were thinking it sounds familiar, right? There's actually a lot of songs with this kind of circle of fifth motion. But if you take it from the C chord, that's actually Hey Joe, right? That old Hendrix song. Strummed without this strumming progression, a little more like. Okay. All right, so that's sort of where that came from, but I just added the F chord in the beginning. Okay. Everybody doing all right so far? Excellent. Double stop idea in exercise 3. Can't get enough of these kind of things. These are super useful type of little ornamentations, little melodies, ornamentations, riffs, even fills, that kind of thing. Hey, what's up, Russell? Excellent. Good to see you. So I'm going to play it and then we'll kind of talk about it a bit. Let's see if I can... All right, so I added a little bit there. Probably shouldn't have yet, but anyway, just to play this, super straight timing, just to get it under the fingers a little bit. Okay, so a little bit of just trying to think about, going a step further to think about these notes a little bit. Okay, so we're in the key of D. You see that I've got this. This is an idea, melodic idea, embellishment idea, key of D. So we're playing off a D chord, okay? So I want you to think about the root 5 D shape, particularly here at the 7th fret. You've kind of got a D triad right here. You've got all the notes that make D major, okay? And then I also want you to think about it here at the 10th position, which is the root 6 D major. And check out the first 2 notes we're sliding to are actually 2 notes that are in that. Okay, so you've got the 5th of the chord and the 3rd of the chord, but make no mistake, that's come straight from D major. Okay, those 2 notes. So those are the first 2. And I'm moving that shape down 2 frets, same shape, and then resolving, barring down on the 7th fret. So there's the other D major chord shape right there. And we pointed out the extension of this chord right here, right? D major bar chord, but sort of focused with your index finger right here. And then just adding a note to that eventually with the 9th fret. That's a note from D major pentatonic and also the D major scale, and just sounds really nice added, right? And then at the very end, I'm adding the 9th fret of the A string onto that shape where you could even include the B string 7th fret. I just tabbed it from 9, 7, 7 on the A, D, and G. Now that happens to be a D major chord as well. This is a D major triad with the 3rd in the bass, right? I've got the 3rd, the 5th, and the root is the highest note. So that's a first inversion D major triad. So really, I'm just kind of moving around the neck a little bit, but really relying on just notes out of the D major chord, really. So I can't tell you how useful it is to sort of know these shapes and know the relation, sort of where you can pull these notes out of the chord shapes, okay? Because you might be down here playing on this one. Like that. If you know those shapes, you can kind of do it in any kind of rhythm. You know that this sounds really good against that chord, right? Or same thing here, right? Maybe you're just playing the D major bar chord up, and then you want to switch positions. Okay, so take what I've done here and sort of see, first of all, really get a feel for how it sounds, but also what else can I do with this? I can just change the timing of this and maybe add some hammer-ons, and kind of that kind of thing, right? Just to spice it up a little bit, make it more expressive, because I've tabbed it out very straight, right? I've tabbed it out, which sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want that sort of, right on the beat, kind of straight rock and roll sound. But other times you kind of want to let it flow a little bit. You're pushing and pulling with some of the rhythm of it. That kind of thing. All right, so really explore this kind of stuff. Experiment. Move it to different keys. Play off different chord shapes, okay? And but this one I always find useful. That kind of thing. All right. Cool. Ron, do you recommend learning caged? I know that on the internet, this is a kind of a loaded topic, caged. Me personally, when I finally learned caged, decades into me playing guitar, wasn't much of a theory guy for a lot of years, and then I went to music school and learned it all, and they taught caged there, and it was a revelation to me. It really made sense to me. It helped me understand the theory. Okay, so I am an advocate for learning caged. Okay, because it's just a way to sort of organize everything and think about the fretboard in an organized way, where you're connecting scales with chord shapes and arpeggios and all of that. It's all makes sense to me with the caged system. Check out Guitar Tricks. We've got on the site, we've got a few, if you type in the magnifying glass, the search function, just type in caged. We've got introduction to caged. We've got a few lessons about it. I think we've even covered it. I'm pretty sure I covered it in a previous session on here, although it might have been on Facebook back a year ago when we were on Facebook, or whenever that was. That was a while ago. So I believe those are still on the Facebook page, the Guitar Tricks Facebook page, if you wanted to check it out. Of course, those ones aren't really titled like these ones are on YouTube, but and I did some cage stuff on the Guitar Tricks channel. So do a search on the Guitar Tricks channel on YouTube. I did some separate videos on caged if you want to learn a little bit more about it. Lisa, what's up? I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining. Jim, excellent. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're recognizing that sound, because it's used a lot. Excellent, Glenn. Right on. Thank you, Shell. Hey, James, what's up? Where do you start in the G key? Okay, well, great question, Glenn. So think about your anchor points for that sort of idea. Remember, the upper part was the root 6 bar chord, right? It has the upper part. So if we move that to G, there you go. The challenge with this is that you're going to be playing off the open strings, right? So you sort of have to imagine your index finger is on those open strings. So right, that kind of idea. So that's where you can do it. Or you can do it 12 frets up, right? So here's where the G chord would be with the root 5. Root's on the 10th fret, but more importantly, the triad is on the 12th fret, right? And then that kind of thing. Make sense? Okay? So that's how you would transpose that last one. By the way, for those of you just joining, we're talking about exercise number 3, okay? Cool. Andrew has a good point, okay? Like, in the beginning, if you're a beginner guitar player, really what you need to focus on is just trying to get your fingers going, okay? Trying to get some technique going, okay? And just try to play songs and don't worry so much about the theory end of things. But when you start to get to the point where you have some technique, at that point, let's start thinking about learning the neck a little bit more and how to sort of progress with things that you can do and how you can improvise and all that kind of stuff. All right. Medicine Hat. I love it. My home province of Alberta. I hope you're doing well. Daryl, what's up? All right. Excellent. Canadians in the house. I like it. All right. So exercise 4. I've got a couple minor pentatonic. Before we move on. Yeah, Harry. D is the 7th fret here. Like, think about the relationship between just where would those 2 bar chords be, those major bar chords, root on the 5th string, root on the 6th string, because that's where this idea is sort of in between those, right? So here's the D major chord, and then you kind of move up a position when you put it, the top part of that chord on your index finger, and then you can slide up, and then you're up there, right? So it's sort of in this region where, okay? For some time, I thought caged is a guitar tuning. Mario, oh yeah, not quite. Just a whole system of organizing and thinking about the fretboard. So definitely check it out. Oh, excellent. All right, Steve. Thank you for that. Yeah. Christopher. He did. Christopher Schlegel on Guitar Tricks just did a cage series. Indeed. A caged series. Can't talk tonight. All right. Divo Nostradamus. Good to see you. Good night. Exercise 4. We've got the A minor pentatonic box. And, just going up that box, really, but thinking about playing it, adding some techniques to it to make it, first of all, get some techniques under your fingers that are a little bit expressive, but also a different way of playing it. You can see that I'm starting on the low A note, okay? And I'm going to practice slides. So these are kind of a one finger exercise right here. And then go to the next string and come down the 7th to the 5th. So we're using notes from the pentatonic box. So a lot of you are familiar with, 5th to the 8th fret, then 5th to 7th, 5th to 7th, 5th to 7th, 5th to 8th, 5th to 8th, right? A minor pentatonic. So let's play it so we're going up on one string and then go to the next string and come down using notes from that scale. Then go back up, next string, back down the next string, back up, back down, and then end it off on the 10th fret there. Okay, so something like that. That kind of thing, or even just kind of like that. Okay, works good with distortion. I'll turn it up a little bit. Oh, that's the other thing I should say before I go and totally mess that up. But try it with different fingers, right? Don't just use the index finger. Try using it with any of the other fingers, right? Whoa. And it also helps the dexterity too, right? Because you're coming up. You want to lock it on that last A note. So there you go. I pooched it, right? So, even try with your pinky, right? That's a little bit more challenging. Okay. Thanks, Shell. EVH, busting it out. Thanks, Seth. Seth from New Jersey. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Cool. Okay. So, yeah, different. And you can use this for any scale, right? Like practice sliding up and down. Pick, like any of those pentatonic scales where you've got 2 notes per string. You can easily adapt this exercise for it. 4B, so doing the same kind of idea, but using hammer-ons and pull-offs. What's up, Audible? Good to see you. So what if I just hammer on the first one and then pull off the next one, hammer on the next one, and then slide up at the end, okay? Similar exercise, but now you're practicing hammer-ons and pull-offs, right? So... And of course, do it all over the neck, right? Like do it up the 12th fret for E. Okay. Experiment around with that one. Good? You're with me. Yeah, a little bit, maybe a little bit of EVH kind of stuff, but definitely, sliding or hammering on kind of... always expressive, right? You can't have too many expressive little tricks in the bag to kind of set you apart and really sort of take what you're playing to the next level, right? So these are all good things to practice. Ron, my pull-offs never get enough oomph. So you might have to do a little exercise of finger strengthening, right? So something like this before maybe I go into practicing exercise 4B, I might take a couple minutes and just do this kind of exercise with each finger and just like warming up and trying to get it, right? The little trill exercise. Or you could even that kind of stuff, right? Just kind of a minute or 2 minutes at a time, like every day, you would see a difference, right? After a couple of weeks, strengthen that, get a little bit of speed, get a little more kind of, oomph out of it, you know, sit there and be intentional about it, right? Like try to really pull off when you're pulling off, like try to, don't even like pick or do anything first. Like just try to pull off so that you're actually sort of plucking the string, right? The drag and flick, there you go. Whatever it takes to kind of like, you know, you've got your finger on there, but it does take a little bit of force to kind of like pluck that, okay? So be intentional about it. Just sit there and try to come up with an exercise that, you know, just a minute or two a day, okay? All right, Daryl, been trying to pull off and hammer-ons for 5 years, still can't do it. There you go. You got to go slow and just... Okay? I find pull off, just slide off the finger. Yeah, so it's an intentional, like you got to like give it a little bit of force and try to pluck that string. It's the same thing getting the finger on there. You got to have a little bit of force at first until you get used to it. Once you get used to it, your fingers will start to feel a lot freer and be able to do it. Okay? Yeah, that pluck, I think you call it the flick. I call it the pluck. You're kind of plucking the string. Okay? All right, Chad, what's up? Happy Friday indeed. All right, excellent. Exercise 5, everybody. Key of D again. And we're going to do a sort of an arpeggiated riff somewhat. Sounds really pretty. This is great on acoustic, by the way. I know some of these are a little more dominant electric guitar type exercises, but super useful to practice on acoustic as well. It's not like you never hear this stuff on acoustic. So, but this one in particular, number 5, will sound great on acoustic, but we want to pick this, arpeggiate these notes. Okay, so the first, look at the chord shape that you've got. You've got, starting with the D triad, you've got the open D string, but you've got 7 on the G and B, 5 on the high string, okay? Okay. And we've got a specific picking pattern that we're using throughout this whole thing. So, okay, so I'm just going to play through this example. We'll talk about it a little bit, but all right, that's what we're going for. So this is a great little thing just to practice getting a picking pattern under your fingers and also making chord changes while you keep that picking pattern going and making everything sound smooth. So once again, let's go as smooth as slow as we need to, right? So we've got this D major triad being a 3-note chord, the 3 notes that it takes to make a major chord or a minor chord, if that case may be. Okay, and I'm going to keep the open D string. I'm going to move that shape down 2 frets to a C major. So this chord now with the D, still sort of part of it, is basically a C/D chord, which is a C chord up top, a full C chord with a D in the bass. And, you know, it has a cool sound, right? Okay. Third bar of this particular example, which is exercise 5, we've got 4th fret of the G, 3rd fret of the top 2 strings. So this is a different triad shape, still a major shape, but it's for G, okay? So in this case, we've got the major 3rd, 5th, and the G note up top, right? And then down to an open D chord, right? So... All right, another thing I want to point out, and I gave you the picking pattern for downs and ups, how I use it and how it makes the most sense to me. I gave it to you with, you can see it's 2 downstrokes, an upstroke, a downstroke, 2 upstrokes, a down and an up, okay? And my philosophy for coming up with that is that it feels most natural to me because, as you see, you're going up the strings at first. So downstroke makes sense. But notice, when I get to the top string, I'm going to an upstroke, because I can see that once I get to the top string, I'm coming back down. So I go up, up. But then when I come back down to the G string, I'm going to be reversing again. So I go down, down again. So, whoops. Now, that's the way I would pick it, and that's the way that I would suggest you learn it, but, okay, that's not for everybody. Other people will approach this with sort of different picking approach, which is totally cool, okay? Whatever sort of feels the most natural to you, if you come up with a way to pick this that feels more natural to you than that, I would go with it, okay? So there's no like super strict laws on this kind of stuff, right? Which is the beauty of learning how to play guitar, right? So nice little riff right there, I think. So definitely, once again, it's a great way to practice timing, picking, chord changes, getting familiar with triad shapes. Okay, these are all very useful things. Okay. All right, Chad, that's awesome. Good to see you. And yeah, thanks for jumping on. And, just check it out whenever you can if you can't do it live, right? Audible says do this on the acoustic. That's where you'll get good. Absolutely. This is a great one. Okay. Andrew is here Saturday morning. All right. Welcome, welcome. The pattern would be great for those learning to move from picking to finger picking if you're comfortable with the chord changes. Absolutely. This can be finger picked as well as picked. Okay. So once again, I like the way you're thinking, right? Let's take an exercise and let's run through a whole bunch of different variations on it. And everything's fair game. Finger picking, changing the chords, changing the string set, changing the chord shapes, whatever you can do to kind of change it up a little bit, you're going to learn something new and add something to your skill set. Daryl, so you're skipping the first string on the way down so you don't skip it on the way up. I sort of look at it as like it's the first note where I'm going to be going in the downward direction. So I'm not necessarily skipping it is the way I wouldn't think of it. I'm just sort of reversing picking direction because I can see when I get to the top string, I'm coming back down to the B string. So I'm going to start with the upstroke and continue that as I come down. Okay. I get to the G string. I see it's going back up to the B string. So I switch up, up. Okay. Does that make sense? Chad, the rule is there are no rules if it sounds good. There you go. Preach it. I love it. Where can I find triads? Kyle, we've got stuff in fundamentals. No, it's not in the fundamentals course, but go on Guitar Tricks and type in the search triads and forget, songs will come up sometimes, but try to look for Christopher Schlegel's sort of tutorials on this stuff. He's got a really comprehensive triad sort of mini course where he's got a bunch of lessons on this kind of stuff. Okay. Daryl, why don't you skip it on the way up? Well, I mean, I could. Let's see. Well, this particular picking pattern is interesting because if I do any other picking, like let me think about how to pick. If I went all downstrokes to the B string, come back, maybe get an upstroke on the G string, I can do that. But then what am I going to do for the high string, right? Downstroke and then come back with upstrokes and then a downstroke. I guess you can do that. If you can make it flow, do it. Absolutely. Okay. To me, that feels a little bit awkward. It feels most natural to me the way that I was picking it with, sort of the way that it's notated. But by all means, if you feel it a little bit differently, go for it. You can make it sound good, make it nice and smooth. That's what it's all about. All right. All right, Shell, what are your thoughts on Logic Pro X versus other leading Daws? Do you record your music? Yes, 100%. I've been in Logic for years and years and years and years. and it is my DAW of choice, and I would highly recommend it. Okay. But you kind of, these days with recording software, you kind of can't go wrong with anything. The plus side is if you're on a Mac, obviously it's an Apple product now, so it works great on the Mac. It's $200 and it includes everything that you would ever need to record music. Like, it seriously includes so much stuff for $200 that it's ridiculous. And it's pretty easy. Yeah, I shouldn't say that. It's easy to get going on it. I think they've tried to make it as user-friendly as possible. All right. And yeah, you've been doing Fruity Loops for a long time, right? Switching it up. I think you'd be able to enjoy it pretty quickly. Okay. That's just me. I'm a Logic guy, and so is Chad. So that's excellent. And Audible says this is easier with finger picking. So there you go. If it comes natural with finger picking, that's great. You can get it a lot quicker. However, if you're honest with yourself about what, maybe what your strengths aren't, for example, if this is harder to pick, then maybe that's a cue to work on it a little bit and break through it, and which is always well worth it for anything that we're not, kind of a little bit stumbly over, right? It's good to just slow it down and try to break through it. And if you could do that, then boom, you've made some progress, which is important. All right. Daryl, no problem. Again, it's just the way this picking pattern went. It's a way to kind of switch it up rather than just going all up and then all down, right? Right? You can do that, and plenty of songs do that, right? But then plenty of songs also just change it up and go backwards and forwards and come up with different picking patterns. Okay. So it's just, it's all about just making little variations and trying to make it interesting and playing some cool music, right? All right, everybody, exercise 6. I had somebody request this a couple weeks ago for tremolo picking. I think it was near the end of one of the sessions the last couple weeks. So I thought I'd throw it in here. Exercise 6. What is tremolo picking? And you'll notice the way it's transcribed, it's got like this little sort of thick slash underneath the notes. And what it means is that you're going to, when you tremolo pick, is that you're picking down up as fast as you can. Okay, so this particular exercise goes like this. Okay, that's what I'm going for here. I'm just going up the A minor pentatonic scale on one string. Okay, so yes, audible. We can think about Dickie Dale. That kind of thing, right? I always think about, that kind of thing, right, Eddie? But yeah, that's all it is just trying to get as fast as you can. It's sort of like it's almost like a bowing, the string thing. I don't know what the correct classical term is it when the strings do that, right? And it just creates a lot of energy and excitement. So you want to practice this first on, just take a single note. And you can see I curl my hand up a little bit differently and I get that thumb over to, this gives me a lot of stability. And then I try to relax as much as I can. It's all about the wrist, okay? And it feels different depending on what string you do it on. This example is on the top string, but you can do it on the beat, any of these strings, right? So that's the idea behind tremolo picking. It's honestly, it's just and you can sit there and I'm sure, people sit there and practice this kind of stuff. It's another expressive technique, right? It has a really cool sound on its own. So worthwhile exercise, right? But there's not really any trick to it or anything. It's about, just trying to figure it out, stay as relaxed as you can, but keep that pick probably tight, right? and just work on the dexterity of keeping it just on one string. Yeah, I do that. Anytime that I tend to pick fast, the thumb kind of comes over and pushes for extra strength, and I'm coming at it at a different angle. I find I have to do that in order to play fast single note stuff. So it's just sort of a default for me. Now, that's not, that's just me, right? Some people, hold it with enough strength. Some people do this kind of thing. I do it with the wrist, okay? There we go, Nikki. It's kryptonite. Could be, yeah. So you can rake the string. Yeah, I mean, just kind of however you can make it happen, right? Chad, let's see. Ron hasn't used fret 20, so there we go. We're excited about that, right? That's Ron. Chad, where is my 2mm pick? The 2mm pick is tough to deal with. Revert back to 1. I usually keep it at 1. But yeah, those 2mm is thick, man. That's crazy. Also, what I played for a lot of years were those little jazz picks, those jazz 3 picks. I don't know if you've seen those. They're a little bit thicker, but they're super small. That might be a thing too. So yeah, experiment with the pick on this kind of thing too, right? I think it helps me to have, at least a sort of a thicker 1mm thing there. Thinking of Pulp Fiction, right? Yeah, exactly. What is it? I don't know the rest of the melody. Can't do it. We'll have to do that next time. My pick always winds up flicking across the room. There you go. You got to hold on to this guy. Yeah. Or it'll go flying. That's why I kind of get that thumb over there and just try to keep it in there best you can. That's funny. Tremolo means something a bit different for classical, or I guess finger picking. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know where it came from, the sort of the tremolo picking, because there's also the tremolo arm, right? Which means something totally different. And I honestly don't know anything about classical guitar, so I'm not sure about that one. Audible's been doing Rumble by Link Ray. I love that. That's excellent. 2 for your chugs. Well, there you go. Dig right in. Love that. Jazz pick's good for speed picking, and you love your textured 73 Dunlop. Yeah, I've got the 1 mil, or actually this is a 94, I guess. Something 96. Textured though. I really find that helps. I find these things staying in my fingers better, because I'm one of the worst offenders of having picks go flying everywhere. So this helps. Am I anchoring? No, it's kind of floating. Okay. If anything, I'm just sort of draping my fingers here for maybe a little stability, but it's not like they're planted. They're kind of flowing too. But I'm not resting my karate chop anywhere. It's floating. It's not touching. Right? So yeah, not anchoring it really, other than just the fingers are sort of draped on the bottom of the body. But again, not planted. Use super glue. There you go. Just glue it in. All right. Excellent. Exercise 7, sus4, sus2 exercise. Again, sort of a really simple embellishment that sounds great, used all the time, but I'm showing it to you in 3 different positions. Okay. Rubber-coated pick. Yeah, I've seen those ones. Tremolos where you control volume. That could be it. Audible. Absolutely. Okay, cool. Yeah, Petrucci got you on the chugs. There you go. Petrucci will do it. He's a master. Absolutely. All right, so this one is a D in open position. We're just running through the sus chords, which are suspended chords, right? Where we're replacing the major third, which is the F sharp in the D chord, 2nd fret of the high string. If you move up 1 fret, you make that a sus4. If you go down 2 frets from the 3rd, that's the sus2. And so these are our sus chords, sus2, sus4. Here's sus2, D sus2, the open D string up top. Second fret's your D major. Third fret on the high string is the sus4, okay? And so this exercise just plays them in 3 different positions. So the first one is using this triad shape, okay, which is just based off the D major open chord. Next, okay, so basically the main shape here is to go, we're still got the open D string, but the main shape is ring finger on the 7th fret of the G, barring down at the 5th fret with your pad of your finger, top 2 strings. Okay, but your pinky's gonna do the work here, 8th fret to the 7th fret. That's the pinky moves. And then off. And that gives you your sus4, major, sus2. Okay, so. And then the final spot is playing off of this triad shape, 11 on the G, barring down on the 10th fret of the top string. And this requires a little bit of some finger movement here to get this, but it looks like this. So I'm actually doing this move to make this happen because you got to come down to the 9th fret of the G string to do this. So here with this one, you've got the major third is sort of a lower note in the equation. So you're moving that. It has a totally different sound. You've got these upper notes that aren't moving. Okay. So this is super useful stuff to kind of know how to do this quickly. Where we first usually see this kind of embellishment going on is off, an open chord, right? But if you can kind of visualize it off of all of the triad shapes, then it gives you a lot of, ability to just kind of play it anywhere, right? Okay. Yes, absolutely. A little bit of thank you sound, a little bit of free falling petty sound, or literally tons and tons and tons of songs use the sus2, sus4. It's just a hip sound, and it just adds something instead of just staying on a chord without moving any of the notes around, right? So take it one step further, break out of, just not only doing that one, but now you can bring it up. Cool. All right. Exercise 8, everybody. 2 parts to this exercise, a major and a minor. Okay. And this is actually kind of a fun exercise just to, work the sound of the major and the minor scales. Oh, my goodness. Am I still here? Am I still on? Am I still live? Let me know. Did the screen go blank? Am I still on? Dang it. I hope we're not having any problems. We almost made it to the end here. All right, we're good. All right, we keep going. So I'm just running through the C major scale, kind of coming down the C major scale. I'm playing out of this octave shape right here. So I've got the C note, 10th fret of the D string, okay? And that higher octave is up the 8th fret of the high string. And what if I come down the C major scale, make it into an exercise and have it? So let's see if I can play it here. Here we go. Whoa, can't do it. Okay. Sorry about that, Audible. We're going to have to move it down to the key of G, all right? So hear the sound of the major scale. You're playing off the pedal of the root. And I'm moving it down with one finger from 8 to 7. And you can use pinky index there. pinky middle, index, and then just hit the low note there. So it's kind of a cool exercise, some string skipping. Also hearing those intervals of the scale, right? Yeah, this is sort of a pedal note, right? I'm pedaling on the octave and just... You can do the same thing for minor. So this is what we see in exercise 8B, and some of the notes are different. Okay. So that's where it's really apparent that there's two different sounds going on, right? So mixing it up a little bit, try it in different keys. You know, you can come up with riffs kind of with this idea with a pedal note, right? So I thought it was a pretty cool exercise just to, you know, kind of, you could use picking, you could use hybrid picking, right? Like kind of like that, or finger picking, whatever kind of makes sense. But a fun thing to do, I think, to run through those scales that way. Steve, I spend about 4 hours a day practicing, but I practice all types. Do I think I should focus on my main interest? I see pros that seem to make their living on their own stuff. Kind of up to you. I think there's nothing wrong with, you know, sort of practicing all types of things. But if you have a main interest and you feel like you need to progress in that main interest, I would say that maybe make it more sort of lean on that. And I'm not saying give up all the, kind of the other things that are interesting to work on and play, but perhaps if you feel like you have a ways to go in your main interest, then perhaps you know, kind of focus on that for the bulk of your actual practice. And if you're practicing 4 hours a day, that's a lot of time, right? So, you know, so then again, I'm like, okay, if maybe you practice half the time on your main interest and then do some other things with the other time. I think that's what I would do. I mean, there's no real rules. That's what I would suggest. I feel like if you feel like you have a ways to go in your main, whatever your main interest in of playing guitar, then, you know, just make that the sort of the focus, the most of the stuff that you work on. Yeah, well, hopefully that helps too, Shell. Okay. I've been working at it for years, not trying to get rich. All good. Yeah, no problem at all. Just want to be a lot better at what you like. Then yeah, practice what you like. Absolutely. I would do that. For me, I was a pretty narrow music guy. When I first started playing, I started playing in the 80s, and it was all about that hard rock stuff, right? So that's what I practiced. That's how I learned how to play guitar. It was later on in life that I started liking other kinds of music and getting interested in things, but I already had like sort of that basis of, you know, kind of rooted in that rock thing, right? So, yeah, there you go. All right. Well, thank you guys. I know we're over time a little bit. I'll just go through exercise 9 real quick. So this is a little more of an advanced exercise, but it shows you on the top 3 strings, sort of the pentatonic box shapes. And this is getting to the BB box. I remember we had a question about the BB box right off the top. We're going to come across that little sort of mini box. But this is a really useful thing just to think about, sort of just the, you know, a cluster of notes in the minor pentatonic, basically, and add a sort of a sequence to it that can kind of be a lick. You can kind of repeat these. You can mess around with these sort of things. Okay. So the actual, you know, I'm going to start with that first little group of 6 notes. That's what it is. Okay. You know, and you've got the notes from A minor pentatonic. Those are the 5 notes. But you're arranging them in sort of a sequence, right? So when you move up positions, you get those different box shapes. So you got that one. Okay. Then you've got the 8th position. And then and that's sort of part of the BB box, but really the BB box is up here in the 10th position, where it gets a little bit different, 12 and 10, and then 13 and 10, and then 12. on the high string, B string, G string. That's sort of the BB box. And you can kind of get the major. But you also got the minor here. So, sorry. Right? And then you just keep going. So there's another kind of weirder box up here in the 12th position. And then you're back up where you started, knock it, and then. All right, so explore those. Take some time with each cluster of 6, and you'll start to see the pattern, right? It's sort of the same pattern every time. I shouldn't say pattern, the same sequence. It's the same sequence of which notes you're hitting, right? But you're just adjusting those notes to fit in with the scale in different parts of the neck. All righty. Let's see. If I missed anything, sounds like you're about my age. Audible, yeah. I'm 50 this year, so yeah, all that 80s rock stuff made a big impression. Just up the strings on my acoustic from 11 to 12s, loving it. The instrument's more alive. That's excellent. Good work, man. Chad, thank you. I appreciate that. Great session. Andrew, well, thank you. Isn't the beanie box the amp Brian May used? The Deaky. That's the Deaky box. Check out Rick Beato's interview with Brian May. It's up there. He shows you the Deaky box. But the BB box, BB King. That's it, up there, the 10th position for A. Okay. Been through your whole AC/DC catalog. Don't necessarily want to be an AC/DC tribute band. Got you, Steve. You can always take something away from that stuff, but if there's a lane that you want to be in, you want to progress on it, it's okay to focus on it, man. Like maybe some really intense focus on it for a while, and then once you kind of if you get burned out on it, you can always kind of zoom out of it and have a look at some other stuff for a while and come back to it, right? Rusty, I appreciate the Friday night lessons. Been on GT for 11 months now. It's my favorite feature. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thanks so much for being on here all week. Actually, everybody who tunes in every week, I super appreciate it. By the way, we've got something really cool next week. May not be so cool for those of you that are already Guitar Tricks subscribers, but we're gonna run a promo coupon next week for membership stuff, I believe, and we're gonna do a sort of a special topic. I think we're gonna do like the top 10 expressive techniques or something like that. So we'll be running a little bit of a promo thing next week. So tune in for that. I know you will. I appreciate it. Thanks, King50. Appreciate the kind words. D-Sus practice on Aquilung. Absolutely. Aquilung. Jethro Tull. Check it out on Guitar Tricks. Thanks, Ray. Igor, thank you. Jim Gregory, thank you. Thanks, Harry. Audibles 51. All right, there you go. Right there. Mario. Well, excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jody1. Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it. Thank you, Glenn. Duke. All right. Nikki the dog. Thank you. All right, Glenn B. Andre was solving math. Well, there you go. Whatever you need to do. All right, Von Doobie 420, 57 years old. First guitar arrives tomorrow. Well, congrats, man, and good luck with the journey. And I hope you have tons of fun. And we're here for you, Guitar Tricks. So excellent. That's great news. Thank you, Douglas. I appreciate it. Chad watched the Geffen bio. I'll have to check that out. I never saw it. That would be cool. Maybe do a lot of embellishments. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Mike Mick. Keep on rocking in the free world. Back at you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Andre. Thanks, Ron. Fringled Six Fingers. Thank you. Thanks, Steve. Kill the guitar, Von Doobie. All right. Everyone, take care. Have a great weekend. Have a great next week. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining tonight. Appreciate it. Take care.